if you want to trade like a rebel, you got to come to RebelCon 2022. It's going to be in Dallas, Texas, at the fabulous Four Seasons Resort. It will be more fun and more live trading than we've ever done before. That's why it's called RebelCon 2022. We're going to have barbecues and double the amount of live trading. The guest speakers, as soon as we announce those, this thing's going to be sold out, limited to 250 people. Sign up now for RebelCon 2022 at the Four Seasons in Dallas, Texas.
Welcome to the rebellion.
Bang. Welcome back, folks. Pete Najarian, John Najarian here. A lot of you can't tell the difference anyway, so I figured I'd start it off with Pete. And since I'm over here in Croatia, Pete, I'm just going to give you the folks a quick view of, there we've got some of the small craft. It's a small craft warning, Pete.
It's something.
Some of the small craft right behind us here. We're in a 120-foot sailboat and with a nice crew and a lot of fun. But I tell you what, if you ever get a chance, folks, come to the Dalmatian Islands. That's what they call them here in Croatia. We were over there on the wall where they filmed Game of Thrones and all that stuff. But the water is water and people, because the people are really super nice too. Do you know, Pete, they had a war here in 1991 between, as Yugoslavia was breaking up, they had a war here.
I now remember that. Yeah. Unbelievable. But you're not on an Uber, are you?
No, luckily I'm not on an Uber because as expensive as this is, an Uber would be even more expensive. And that is the story, folks. Pete's sort of burying the lead there, but Uber is up big because you know what? Most of you that ride Uber already know this, but the prices that they charge are up. Now, whether that's because people are driving Ubers instead of taxis, partly because of people coming out of the pandemic, getting back into Ubers, whatever the reason, they are just crushing it. Shares were down 35% this year. And Pete, now they're just boom to the upside today.
Yeah, pretty amazing, John. I mean, the amazing part is this. They finally made money. This is a company that's been around since 2009. They come out in 2019 with an IPO, and they can't make money. They just can't make money. Now it looks like maybe there's a little bit of money there, but at least they have some free cash flow, John. That's what everybody seems to be excited about. Before everybody just starts, clinking their champagne glasses together, I would just say this. This is a company, when they IPO'd, folks, it was 45. And tell you, today it's in the 28s. So before we get completely out of whack with this whole thing, this is something where we've had quarters where it seemed like they were ready to start something good, John. And then they just disappointed once again. And then again, they started to look okay and disappointed again. But that's just how Uber has traded over the long period of time now. And it's amazing, but it is a quarter where they did have free cash flow. They seem to be hooked onto that. And they did talk about the rides and the expense and everything else, but maybe they've turned the corner. I don't know if they have for sure yet, John.
Yeah. Well, Pete, what about this one? Pinterest. Yep. They had what? They're up. They were up as much as 15% earlier today. ELLIOT Management, of course, activist investor, has a stake. Whenever they have a stake, since they're strong hands, because they are, they don't just buy it and then get scared out. They buy it and buy more. They also are apparently one of the nicest social media platforms, Pete. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to just dismiss that. I think that works in their favor very nicely because we all talk about how toxic Twitter can be. Facebook, making your best friends jealous or whatever it is. But this one, Pinterest, is social media and apparently people like it that it's not as aggressive and mean as the other sites.
Well, I think just what they do as a business model, John, just sort of plays into that as well. It's pretty good. It's about people sharing. It's about people doing things. And it's pretty interesting. Their revenue's gotten a little bit stronger. The U.S., that jumped up like 7% year over year. And they really showed a lot of strength outside of America and Canada. But and that's where a lot of the strength is. But let's be honest, the big money is made here in the United States and Canada. That's the monstrous piece of the puzzle that they've got. And they're doing well there. And even though that they're losing, or they're not losing, but they're slowing in terms of the active users and that type of thing, and you'd like to see that go at a much better pace, it's still a company that's got some growth behind it. And you're seeing that with ads and what they talked about with their ad dollars. And I think the help that they might get, or at least offered by ELLIOT, will certainly be something very positive. So for those reasons, I like this one. I'm not a big fan of Uber, as you found out, but I think this one maybe has a shot at this point in time based on what they're doing.
Down 75%, Pete, almost from the 52-week high. I'll stop there. Next stock.
We're going to Revlon. Revlon's another one, John, that, it's been beat up, it's been hammered, but, you're going through bankruptcy and that whole thing. But it's a company that's had a really nice day. We don't want to go too crazy about things because over this day, it's made a pretty nice move and, massive short interest. So that sort of plays into it. But it looks like, John, maybe they're going to be able to come out of this thing. And it's going to anger a lot of folks because they just went up for this, the bankruptcy and all. But it's something where it looks like a company that might be able to come out of that. I'm not even sure. I never followed this one enough to know, John, that what was really the biggest problem, because when you think about it, and you and I don't probably actively talk about Revlon very often or use anything from Revlon very often, but I would say this. I can't recall even hearing much about this name for a really, really long period of time. Maybe that's part of the problem. Competition's come in and maybe Revlon's just really struggled.
Right. And Pete, it's kind of like American Airlines, which, as you know, I fly them a lot, American Airlines. So make sure you take care of us, American Airlines. But, and they do, they're good folks. I love flying American. But the Revlon situation, Pete, and American, when both of them filed for bankruptcy, I think American was down to 40 cents, Pete, and Revlon was down to $1. June 13th, they were down to $1.08. Now they were over $10 on the highs today, almost 11. That's 10x, because we're not talking about an emerged company that's paying, people again. They're still in bankruptcy protection. So the fact that they've got this 10x return, that is just taking those shorts and squeeze them like this, Pete, for those shorts. But also, how about SunPower? Talk about squeezing shorts, Pete. Because SunPower, you and I talked about it right when that legislation was hitting with Joe Manchin, because when Schumer and Manchin, got together, had a meeting of the minds, and Manchin decided, as long as you don't go after coal and as long as you don't, make too many giveaways, I'm good with some of these green energy stocks. Well, those stocks just zoomed. It ain't over. And the squeeze, like I said, that isn't over yet either, because SunPower beat, it's driving the rest of those like Sunrun and so forth along with it, even Enphase and the people, anybody in solar doing well on this, Pete.
Yeah, absolutely, John. It's absolutely helping. But their earnings were even outstanding on top of all of that. That was something that was pretty impressive. When you've got earnings and your revenue and you've got the kind of growth, their revenue growth, 63%. Their acquisition of customers was up 51%. So they already were doing, pretty reasonably well, it looks like, in the quarter. And then obviously this little extra boost does not hurt. So that's why I think we're seeing pretty dramatic move today in that. And we've seen it all week. You and I have been talking about EVs and solar and all that kind of stuff, which kind of leads us into at least the beginning of it. But I'll let you start off with the unusual option activity, John.
Yep. And folks, just before I hit the unusual activity, let me quick say that we've got RebelCon 2022. It's going to be in Dallas, Texas. I've been telling you for weeks that it's at the Four Seasons. It's actually changing over to a Ritz. So for those of you who like the Ritz experience as well, these are both very high-end hotels.
Yeah.
But just go to marketrebellion.com/Dallas. That's marketrebellion.com/Dallas, or check out the QR code. You guys could join us. You'll have a great time. You'll learn a lot. You'll have a lot of fun. And I guarantee you'll be in a better position to make money. Pete and I can't pull the trigger for you, but you guys will be in a better position to make money on your trades. With that said, let me get to that unusual activity, Pete. You don't need to understand options to trade this, folks. Nikola, NKLA, bullish call spread. What does that mean to a stock trader? That means people are buying this equity in big numbers. What did they buy? 60,000 of the 12th of August. So that's not this Friday. That's the 5th of August. Next Friday, the 12th of August. So this is something that they think is going to happen within the next 2 weeks. Very strong activity in Nikola. That's, of course, an EV, as Pete said, leading into this. So I like the trade, Pete. I'm in the trade, and the stock was under $7 a share when they did it. So, really nothing to dislike about this one, Pete. They're buying the 7 calls, and it's basically the at the money call.
And they've been aggressive in there, John, like I have almost never seen, except maybe this one. ChargePoint, 12 bullish hits in the last month in this name. We've seen nothing but monstrous option paper flowing into this one. You had 60,000 in Nikola. I'm gonna at least match you up, because I got 60, or maybe even better, you buy this one. I got 60,000 of this Friday's expiring 15.5 calls getting bought today in ChargePoint. Now, CHPT, this name hits time and time and time again. 60,000, folks. That's a pretty monstrous number. We've already had 12 before this. Oh, and by the way, they came back again, John, and bought another 60,000, this time September 22nd. They're rolling from August 22nd, going to September 22nd for another 60,000. So it's just amazing the flows that we've been seeing in the EV space and anything attached to it. ChargePoint's obviously not electronic vehicles, but they are the charging stations, and they are something special. And it's a name that John and I have talked about and seen a lot of unusual option activity. They've even had some to the downside. We've had runs to the upside with the calls. Then we've had put buying. It's pulled back. And then we get the call buying. It's rolled back again. Stock's been as low as in the 12s. It's also been as high as about 1550, which, give or take, is where it is right about now. So it just continues, John. Unbelievable flows that just keep on coming into the EV space.
Yeah. And Pete, for everybody else, I'd say just check out Blink too, BLNK, because these are both charging plays. It's rare that you see this much focus on just one stock unless it's being taken over. And if it is being taken over, maybe it's by a competitor. I'll just throw that out there. Again, we don't have inside information. We're just trying to read the tea leaves, folks.
Yep.
Pete, what about Aaron Judge? I mean, what a big stud. The guy has just been lighting it up. I saw him throw out a guy trying to stretch a single to a double, which 99 times out of 100 somebody could do, but not when Aaron Judge gets the ball and he throws a strike into second base, Pete.
I'll tell you what, if that guy wasn't playing baseball, I think he'd be an all-pro tight end today. I mean, he's 6'7", 280 pounds. He looks like he's 230, John. I mean, the guy doesn't look 280, but he is, because when you get even close to him, the mass of that man is absolutely astonishing. I had a fortune of sitting right there on the first baseline a couple of years ago, watched him come trotting over against the Twins, and I'm just looking at the guy going, what in the hell? That guy's a monster. And he is. And what is he doing this year? It's his 6th or 7th year. It's actually his 7th year, but he had a rookie year that was a little bit slower. But he's in his 7th year. He leads the league in home runs. He's got 43 of them, by the way. He's got RBIs. He leads the league in that. He's batting about 300. The guy's an absolute moose. He's unbelievable. And he's a fun guy to watch, John. And just the way his trajectory of when he hits the ball is incredible. And now he had 39 home runs last year. He's already got 43 this year, and he's still got 61 games to play. So his speed at getting to where he is this year to where he is unbelievable. And let's not forget, he's going for the record. You know, that 61 that's out there. And you know, we're talking about Marist who started that, but because we got to throw out all the roid monkeys that were out there. I mean, the roidsters, that whole era doesn't count, you know, with all those guys from McGuire to Sosa again, to McGuire again, to Barry Bonds. I mean, let's be honest. We all know, we all see it with our own eyes. I know it was never actually proven, but you know, let's be honest. They got a lot bigger, a lot stronger, and a lot more lean as they got older. That's pretty unusual activity. So
I'd say
this
it's
guy's
unusual
special.
activity.
Yeah, for sure.
So
John.
how about this for unusual activity, Pete?
Yep.
Your next guy, and again, folks, Pete is on Odyssey, WCCO, 10 until noon Central Time every week on Sunday with the Sports Huddle, he and Maxie. And I know you guys love this guy, Pete, because there's only him. There's nobody else who you would say, oh, he could bat in any spot in the order because he's a pitcher, and that's Ohani. Tell me what you're thinking about this guy, Pete, with what he's done.
Here's
so
another
far
guy, John. He's 6'4". I don't know how many people know that. The guy's big. He's strong. He is the closest thing to Babe Ruth. And everybody who doesn't know this, I'll enlighten you. Babe Ruth was a pitcher as well. I mean, he played different parts of the field, but the guy's the only guy ever to have I think he had 12 home run crowns, John, and one of them while he was also a pitcher that year. So it gives you a little bit of idea about who Babe Ruth is. But I'll tell you what, Ohtani's just absolutely exploded on the scene. A lot of people obviously know him by now. But the interesting thing might be, John, they actually had talks with what's going on right now. Would they trade him? And they actually never said no. They actually kind of led us to believe that, yeah, Ohtani, we might trade him if somebody wants to give us something big. And I just wonder, John, can a small market team in this era with TV and everything else, I think they can, but what do you think? Because I'm looking at the Minnesota Twins thinking, what do we need? We need a pitcher. We just signed one, by the way, today. But we need a pitcher, and we need a guy who can maybe hit a little bit better than some of the guys within the lineup right now. And what does Ohtani bring with him? Well, he's pitched 99 innings already this year. He's got a great average there. He's hit 22 home runs. I think that guy kind of fits both. If you pay him something close to what should be, he's two players in one. So I'm not even sure what you got to pay him, but I think these smaller market teams have a shot, John.
I think they do too, Pete. But you know what? Time's up.
No.
So we'll have to talk about that Thursday. Because as you folks know, we do this show at 1:00 p.m. We try to hit it right on the screws, as Pete would say, right at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And we have to wait until Thursday, Pete, when we resume, because we do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And maybe in the fall, we'll extend that out a little bit. We'll have to see, Pete. He's Pete Najarian. I'm John Najarian. Make sure you check us out. There's the handles at Pete Najarian, at John Najarian, and the TikTok at Market. Actually, it's at Official Market Rebellion on TikTok. Check us out, folks. Give us some comments. We'd love to answer your questions in a future episode. Have a great day.
Have a great one.